for Dolly. So when we talk about the whole golden vein deal, think of this. Think of somewhere about the 1980s. There was a man that was breeding dogs for at least 30 years by that time. His name was Ernest Hollingsworth in the Carolinas. Mention that he's from the Carolinas doesn't mean that all the men in the Carolinas were great. As a matter of fact, he's one on maybe 100,000 men in the Carolinas. He was different. He didn't like everybody.
He didn't like black dogs.
He didn't like black dogs. He discriminated against people, and he did not black dogs, not because of their color. It was because he understood what I said about the process of developing. He understood that black dogs were important in the breed, but if you wanted to go to the next step over the black dogs, the red dogs were the next step. He understood that. And so back in 1980, Mr. Ernest Hollingsworth, he liked black dogs at one point, but at this particular point in his life, he didn't no more. He just didn't like those dogs. And you must understand that this man, there was a pivotal moment in his life. He had all these different dogs, and none of those dogs were superstars. They were local dogs of himself. He built them. He built a strand of dogs that was beautiful, that was strong. And there were many dogs that were good, but there was not really one that was like really, really great, that was going to impact the world, is going to change the world. But there was one single dog that was changing the world. You understand? And so as we go through this process, this man kept on growing, but he was a loner. And he kept on growing. He respected a few men, of course he did. He respected some of the men in the past. Matter of fact is, he had a lot of problems with the guy that he got his dogs from, which he was Pat Patrick. He didn't like him too much. He thought he was just a guy that got lucky with dogs. He had the same opinion that I have. And he felt that this man has some good dogs and he made them better. He had a process of making this blood better and better. And I'm talking all these topics and all these points are part of history, only so we can understand the real American People Terrier. It's nothing for nothing else, just conversation to know why these dogs today are the way they are, okay? So remember, the way this dog is built, the physique, the capacity of this dog to be able to do running, sports, the drive of the dog, everything the dog has is extremely important, right? And so, as we go through this process, the dogs in the past went through a particular selection, okay? So on this process, this selection, there was a moment where this man had this one dog from all the best of the Patrick dogs. He has this female he called Lady in Red. He picked this dog to be Lady in Red. So this was his gem, this was his diamond, right? And so, when he wanted to breed this dog, he looked for a man that had the merits. At that time, the Chico Lopez of those times is a man that today, when it comes to merits as a single man, and as a matter of fact, he's not a single man because STP means some Pollacks or whatever, so we're actually three men. But people remember just STP as being one single man, but it's really...
What STP means?
I forgot really. It was like some tough Pollacks, something like that. And so it was three Pollacks, or some three Pollacks, something like this. So they had these Pollacks, right? But the main guy was John Bemis. And this is the place in New York where Hollingsworth went looking for a dog. He was looking to breed to a Patrick dog. And at the time, remember, you didn't have computers, you didn't have cell phones, you didn't have social media, none of these things. So they had a phone, a rotary phone, or whatever. So he sent them a letter or something, he wanted to breed to the Patrick dog. At that point, this man had two Patrick dogs in the house. One that was not famous and one that was extremely famous all over the world. People knew about it, was like a wildfire. His name was STP's Grand Champion Buck. He just came out on the Sporting Journal. I don't know if he went when he was a champion, but I think he went when he was a grand champion. So this man was an old man back then. He was already a little bit sick. And he drove to the north, and he wanted to breed to the Patrick dog. So I guess, after the arrival and so on and so forth, they asked him questions. He said, listen, you want to breed to my Patrick dog? He said, yeah. So he said, oh, let me bring you. And then he showed him Grand Champion Buck. He said, well, he's the Grand Champion. Everybody wants to breed to him, you know. And he has his Patrick female, and he didn't talk much of Patrick, and so but he took his Patrick female, and STP showed him Buck. He looks at Buck and he says, this is not a dog I'm looking for. So I'm looking for another Patrick dog. They told me I had a dog that only had 3 legs. He said, oh, that dog, that dog is really stupid. He's not worth really matching. He's just a game dog, you know, and has ability, but he doesn't have any mouth. And he lost his match, and you know, he lost his leg, and they broke his leg, and he ate his leg. The dog literally ate his leg. So he was so crazy that he ate his own leg. Now, keep in mind that all these dogs are friendly to people. So we're talking about a part of the developing of the breed. And so this man, Hollingsworth, breeds his dog. He make a decision, pay attention. He didn't go to some random guy on the internet talking and stuff like that. He didn't go to somebody. He did something that I tell people all the time. I tell people, if you want to learn how to play basketball at the highest level, if it's important to you, you need to go to the highest person. If you need to learn how to play chess, most people that play chess are very smart. People that play chess usually are very smart. And when they look for chess, they look for Bobby Fischer. They look for the geniuses. They look for Kasparov, the Russian guy. They don't look for the Jojo from the neighborhood that plays chess. They want to learn, they get the manuals, they get the instructions, they get the sets, they get the moves from the masters, not from the idiots. Chess is a game that's usually played by people that have some level of intelligence. Okay, they make moves, 50 moves, 10 moves, you know, ahead of time. But what I call eagles before, you know, you remember talk about flies, ducks, and eagles. I can guarantee you that most flies don't like to play chess. Some of them do, but not most of them. But this guy looked for the guy that knew the most. He went directly to STP. He could have gone to other guys that had Patrick dogs, but he didn't want to go to the guy that had the merits. In this case, this STP, by the number of grand champions and champions, he's second to Chico Lopez.
He couldn't go to Patrick himself.
He could have gone to Patrick himself or to go to somebody else, and he didn't. He went to the guy that has the merits. He trusted the word of the guy. And he didn't need to breed to the grand champion. And the reason why he didn't want to breed to the grand champion is because he knew some details that all these rookies around the world through generations don't know that within the world dog, the grand champion buck made a couple of signs and moves within his last showing that were not accepted by Patrick. Patrick most rather had a really game dog. And this channel here is not to promote anything illegal, but we're talking about the history of the dog in terms to understand why we need to buy the best dogs. So we need to touch the history a little bit. Now, you got to think about the Hollingsworth had 30 years in the dogs, for instance. Just give it a number. We're going to round off the numbers, 30 years. And then we have his maximum creation. He went to the best dog that he could breed to, and he didn't go to the guy from the neighborhood with the pedigree. He knows. He went, once he bred to this Patrick dog, he created Hollingsworth Dolly.
What is the name of the dog?
Jasso Cody. So Jasso, he bred his female to Jasso Cody. He created Hollingsworth Dolly. He took Dolly when she was big already and bred it to Yellow. He didn't want to breed to Yellow too much, but he bred to Yellow because there was a story about a show between one of his dogs and the yellow dog, and they look very similar. And friend of mine, he said these two families should be bred among each other. And that's what happened really. He got that advice and so on and so forth. So he did that breeding. And that's where Grand Champion Mayday comes. But this man was at the pinnacle of his life when he had cancer. Once he had the cancer, he sold his dogs to a man we're going to call VA. VA got the dogs, and he had black dogs, and he got rid of all black dogs. He didn't want to have nothing about black dogs at the point. VA. These red dogs changed everything he had. Fact is, some of these Hollingsworth dogs went to the hands of other people that had black dogs, but they didn't want to get rid of their black dogs or whatever dogs they had because they couldn't understand how great these Hollingsworth dogs will be at one point. Anyhow, I'm just going surfing through the history. Some details might be a little off, but this is just general history. Once VA had these dogs, he had Grand Champion Mayday. VA also made a decision on how he was going to breed some of his dogs. And he had a lot of females. When VA used to have his page, he had a lot of different females. They were all pedigrees. I was looking for performance, and I was able to see all the sons of Mayday that were worth anything. And I tell you, they were really special. I used to see black dogs or brown dogs or other red dogs too, but I really liked the dogs from Mayday. They were special. They were more durable. Remember, it was different times. We're not talking about anything recent. It's history. So when I had a chance to breed my best female, that I bought her with the advice of VA. VA actually told me, he said, this guy is going to have a litter, because I said, I want to get a puppy. So he's going to have a litter, and he was very nice to me. He says, you need to get a puppy from the litter. And this is where the magic happens. When I went to get the puppy from this litter had a blood from a particular female called Tarna. And that was the blood that was good. Apparently, he and I was looking for the red blood, but this was a brindle female. And so she had red puppies, a brindle female with red puppies. Her father was a red dog. The mother was a yellow brindle that came from a family that had a cluster, which is a different topic. And I was able. So they told me, said, I was looking at the litter for a while.
How many hours you spent to
Look at the litter, maybe 4 hours looking at the puppies. I was looking at the puppies. I noticed that at first sight they all looked nice, but there was one little female that was popping on my head, and it's like, I like this one a little better. I want to get something from this female. And so when I was looking at this female, I was in this guy's house, the guy that did the breeding of the mother of Awesome Buck, and I said, I want to get this female. And he said, well, that female is already reserved for the same man that Mr. Hollingsworth went to breed Hollingsworth Dolly. We're talking about Hollingsworth Dolly went to STP to breed, and Hollingsworth made a decision over STP.
Lady in Red.
With Lady in Red with the STP. Then I came in and I had the opportunity, and they wanted to tell me that I couldn't get that puppy because it was going to STP. At that point, I was a rookie type of guy, new guy. It was rookie, definitely a rookie. And today, my numbers are better than STP's numbers. STP was the number one guy by numbers for a long time. He was the king by numbers. He was the Michael Jordan. Then I came in and I became the Michael Jordan, and I surpassed him by a lot. But I have respect for him, obviously. He's a great guy, and what he done, typically, bow to him because he's great. I'm better than him in terms of numbers, but still, he got numbers that maybe never going to be surpassed by nobody. I don't think anybody will surpass STP except me. So when I saw the puppy, I said, I want it. He said, no, he's going to STP. I said, I see. I said, I won't buy it if I don't get that puppy. I have my brother with me, blah, blah, we pay him now, otherwise we got into a little argument, and I was getting the dog. And I got the dog that I wanted. That dog is the mother of Awesome Buck. Awesome Buck is the father of this dog. And that female, being in my hands, I could have bred it to other dogs of Awesome of Mayday, but I make sure that I bred to this one dog that in my mind, in my head, and the things that I seen from him, he was better. He didn't have no pedigree. Just like this dog right here. I mean, didn't have merits like Grand Champion. This dog is not champion, Grand Champion. But I see qualities on him, the same qualities that I saw on the father of Awesome Buck. And I said, I'm not going to breed to Barracuda. I'm going to breed to this dog. I make the decision. Everybody thought I was crazy.
Was just a coincidence, or is basically repeating the same story when Hollingsworth went to STP?
It's the same story as Hollingsworth. They told him to breed to Buck, and he said no. He bred to the dog, and they told me breed to Barracuda for free. And I said I'm going to pay to breed to this other dog, and I paid for it, and I bred to that. Hollingsworth and I have very similar ways of thinking. A lot of people use the Hollingsworth name, like to throw it around, but I don't know any other man that has similar ways of thinking like Hollingsworth. I'm a big fan of him, and that maybe has something to do with it. So I came in with the puppy, with Awesome Buck, and I made, Awesome Buck, the golden vein, everything is attached to that part. So if you think about Ernest Hollingsworth here, and Ernest Hollingsworth is for 30 years in the dogs, then V8 is for their 25, almost 30 years too, and then Chico Lopez continues 30 years. We're talking about at some point our lives overlap. And the overlap maybe altogether is about 10 years overlap on each one of the 30 years. Altogether is maybe about 50 years of Golden Vein. The breed has about 180 years, but good 50 years have come through this process of giving preference to dogs that are non biters and dogs that have this body structure and dogs that have this color. For 50 years, Hollingsworth, VA, and Chico Lopez have gone for this. And this is the pinnacle. This is the top of the mountain. And so I've been very happy with this thing. And then when you ask me the question, because I'm going back to your question, what I just told you now about these decisions of great dogs, you will never see on a bully. You're not going to see this on any bully in the world. As a matter of fact, any pedigree dog in the United States right now, by some breeder, is not going to have such a wonderful story. Because when you look at Awesome Buck, you look at Awesome Buck's career, is completely amazing. You know, Awesome Buck, 2-time winner, champion 4-time winner, a champion 4-time winner, a champion, you know, and then he's really a super solid dog. Created the only leader that has 9 countries, 2 dogs, 3 dogs of the year, global grand champion, global grand champion, global champion, global champion. And from those dogs, you got the mother of this dog. You understand? And I mean, and you have, as a matter of fact, the mother of this dog doesn't come from there. The mother of this dog comes from Gasolina, which he comes from Damien, which he comes in the bottom from the same Awesome Buck bred to Alondra. So you look at this quality of these dogs, and you look at something that's being refined by great men. 50 years, 3 men. 3 men, 3 legends. And I throw you the name of a 4th legend, which was STP, which he was part of it in the terms of people going to him and the puppies going to him and stuff like that. But there is nothing, you cannot find a single bully through the history, because the way the bullies were created were not created for greatness. They were created for looks. They were not created for heritage. They were created for, I want to have the dog with the biggest head. Or I want to have, you understand? And then some guy in some neighborhood, some cholo in California, some cholo in Minneapolis, some cholo in Mexico City, you understand? That's breeding some dogs. Guy that has no ideas or nothing with those dogs, you understand? I travel all the world. I travel all the world. The whole, you go to Google Earth, you see the map, and you go like that, and this is Chico was here, Chico was here, Chico was here, Chico was here, Chico was here. I know the dog, man. And everywhere I went, they always say I got the best dogs. Everyone has the best dogs. Until it's time to meet the boogeyman. When they meet the boogeyman, there's no such a thing as having the best dogs. So what it takes